Hi, 7th graders. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 8, which is called factoring and expanding. So this lesson is a lot of doing our whoop whoops, which we talked about earlier in the unit. We have 3 learning targets for today. I can expand and factor expressions, I can solve equations that involve expanding, and I can compare different strategies for solving the same equation. So let's get started. All right, we need to complete the missing information in each puzzle. So we have 5 parentheses a minus 6. So what this means is we're going to do our whoop whoops. Can I get a whoop whoop? We need to multiply 5 times a and 5 times 6. So 5 times a is just 5a. And then 5 times 6 is 30, but it's a negative. So remember, when we do our negatives and positives, a negative times a positive is a negative. So this would be a negative 30. So then in expanded form, we would write this as 5a minus 30. And that's our whoop whoops. So let's practice a couple more. Number 2, this time they wrote it out for us. So we need to figure out what number times 2 gives us 6a. Well, 2 times 3 gives us 6, and then we just need to add an a to make so that we have this a in the middle. So 2 times 3a equals 6a. And now we need to think 2 times what equals negative 2b. Well, I see the b, so we're going to add that up there. And now 2 times what equals negative 2? Well, 2 times 1 equals 2, so 2 times a negative 1 would equal negative 2. So then to write it as factored, we would write it as 2 on the outside, and then on the inside we'd write this, 3a minus 1b. And then if we did our whoop whoops, 2 times 3a is 6a. 2 times negative 1b is negative 2a. So we are correct. These ones are a little bit trickier because you have to think backwards, but I know you can do it. All right, this next one, they're making it really tricky on us. We have negative 25x, so that's going to go inside, and then we have plus a 15. All right, so what number could I multiply together to get both of these numbers? Well, the number that comes to my mind is 5. So that's going to go out in front. So I need to think 5 times what equals 25? Well, hopefully you know that 5 times 5 equals 25. Then we need this x, so we're going to add an x. But now 5 times 5 is a positive 25. I want it to be negative, so we're going to make this a negative. All right, last one, we need to think 5 times what equals 15? Well, hopefully you know that it's 3. So then when we write this as a factored equation, we would write 5 on the outside, negative 5x plus 3 on the inside. Then if we practiced our whoop whoops, 5 times negative 5x is negative 25x. 5 times 3 is 15, so we did it. All right, let's take a look at number 4. This time we have negative 2x plus 3. We need to do our whoop whoops. Anytime there's not a number, it really means like a 1. So negative 1 times 2c would be negative 2c. And then negative 1 times 3 would be negative 3. So that is how we would write it in expanded form. All right, so now let's take a look at activity 2. Step by step by step by step. Here's an equation and the first steps that Sadia and Amir wrote to solve it. So we have Sadia's 2 times x minus y equals 10, and then we have Amir's. So let's take a look at Sadia. So what Sadia did is I'm going to draw my line down the equals. Sadia got rid of this 2. And remember, anytime there's a number next to a parentheses, it means times. So Sadia divided by 2 on both sides. And when she did that, her 2's canceled out. So all she's left with is x minus 9. And then on our right side, 10 divided by 2 equals 5. So now we need to continue solving. So we want to get rid of this minus 9. Remember, to do that, we have to add 9 to both sides. 9 minus 9 is 0, so that cancels out. All we have is x. 5 plus 9 is 14, and that's our answer. So now let's take a look at what Amir did. So it looks like Amir did not divide first. Amir did his whoop whoops. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 9 is 18, and then we get equals 10. So now we're going to solve it. So the first step is to get rid of this minus 18, so we're going to add 18 to both sides. When we do that, our 18s cancel out. We have 2x. 10 plus 18 is 28. And now remember, that means times, so we need to divide by 2. When we do that, we get x equals 28 divided by 2 is 14. So if you notice, we got the same answer, but we did it 2 different ways. You get to decide how you would like to solve that equation. All right, moving on to activity 3 called different first steps. These are a whole bunch of equations that I'd like you to try on your desk. So pause the video and then come back and check your work. But there are 2 different ways that you can do it. You can do your whoop whoops first, or you could divide first. So I'll do one example with you where I do both ways, and then you can decide for number 2 and number 3 if you'd like to do it one of the ways over one of the other ways. All right, so our first one, we have 3 times x plus 2 equals 21. So when we expand first, what that means is I need to do my whoop whoops. So I need to do 3 times x and 3 times 2. Well, 3 times x is 3x, plus 3 times 2 is 6, and that still equals 21. So now I solve my equation like I normally would. The first step is we need to get rid of this plus 6, so we minus 6 first. When we do that, our 6's cancel out. We have 3x over here, and then we're left with 15. And then remember, we have a number squished next to a letter, so that means times. So then we need to divide by 3. When we do that, our 3's cancel out, so we get 15 divided by 3 is 5. Now let's do it the same way, but let's divide before we do anything else. So for this one, we're going to divide by this 3 first. When we do that, our 3's cancel out, so all we're left with is x plus 2. And then 21 divided by 3 is 7. So then our next step is to get rid of the plus 2, so we're going to minus 2 from both sides. When we do that, we get x equals 7 minus 2 is 5. And if you notice, we got 5 for both of them, as we should. So you can decide which way you'd like to do it. So now go ahead and pause the video and you try number 2. Either way, you can expand first or you can divide first, and then check your work with mine. All right, I think it's easiest to do the dividing first, so I'm going to do that one. So here's our problem. The first step is we're going to divide by this 200. So when we do 600 divided by 200, we get 3. And then our 200s cancel out on the left, so all we're left with is x minus 0.3. Then we need to add the 0.3 to both sides. When we do that, our 0.3s are canceled out, so we get x equals 3.3. And that is our answer. All right, our next one, this time we have negative 10 parentheses x minus 1.7 equals negative 3. So again, you can divide if you want to, you can decide if you want to expand first or divide first. All right, this time I'll expand it first and show you those steps. All right, so first step, we have to do our whoop whoops. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x. Negative 10 times negative 1.7 is a positive 17. All equals negative 3. So now the first step is we need to get rid of the plus 17, so we're going to minus it. When we do that, our 17s cancel out, so we get negative 10x equals negative 3 minus 17 is negative 20. Now we need to get rid of this times. To do that, we're going to divide by negative 10. When we do that, our negative 10s cancel out, so we're left with x equals negative 20 divided by negative 10 is a positive 2. And that is our answer. Awesome, we're going to do one more example of our cool down. So this time we have 8.88 equals 4.44 times x minus 7. So I want you to try it on your own. And remember, you can divide it first or you can do your whoop whoops first. It's your choice. All right, let's check our work. First step I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 4.44. When I do that, my 4.44s cancel out, so all I have is x minus 7. And then 8.88 divided by 4.44 is 2. Then we need to get rid of our x, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. Our 7's cancel out. 2 plus 7 equals 9, and that is our answer. All right, 7th graders, your job right now is to work on the 6.8 assignment. When you are finished, you can turn it in. If you're stuck or you're not sure, you can just circle it and send me a message, and I will help you when I get back tomorrow. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.